There are actors, and then there's Christian Bale, a man who doesn't just play a character, he becomes him. When you look at his career, you don't see just a list of movies. You see a series of physical evolutions that seem almost impossible for a single human being. One year, he's a walking skeleton in The Machinist. The next, a symbol of peak human strength and discipline in Batman Begins. Then, just when you think he's found balance, he destroys it again for another role, rebuilding himself from scratch. But this video isn't about acting. It's not about Hollywood. It's about what these transformations represent, about the human potential that lives inside every single one of us. Christian Bale didn't achieve this because he's special. He achieved it because he understood something most people don't. Your body will follow your mind. When the mind is committed, the body has no choice but to obey. When Bale had to lose 30 kilograms, he did it. When he had to gain 45, he did that too. He didn't wait for the right time. He didn't search for motivation on YouTube. He simply decided and then executed. That's the mindset that separates dreamers from doers. That's the difference between those who talk about change and those who become it. You see, transformation isn't about genetics or luck. It's about control. Control over your habits, your cravings, your emotions. It's the art of self-mastery. When you control yourself, truly control yourself, you become unstoppable. Christian Bale's story is just the mirror. What you're really seeing is what any human is capable of when purpose and discipline collide. Because at the end of the day, he's not some superhuman. He's proof. Proof that you can tear yourself down and build yourself up again, stronger, sharper, better. So this isn't a story about an actor changing for a role. It's a reminder that you can change for your own, because the greatest role you'll ever play is yourself. There's a scene in The Machinist where Christian Bale stands shirtless in front of a mirror, hollow eyes, bones pushing through pale skin, a man on the edge of disappearing. He weighed less than 120 pounds. He looked sick, fragile, almost unreal, as if life itself had left his body. Then, less than a year later, that same man became Batman, the physical embodiment of control, strength, and dominance, a walking symbol of power, from a skeleton to a superhero, and all within 12 months. How does that even happen? Same person, same genetics, same 24 hours in a day. The only thing that changed was his decision. That's the most powerful part of Bale's story. It's not about talent or luck or Hollywood trainers. It's about a man deciding who he needs to become and doing whatever it takes to get there. When he played The Machinist, he gave everything to the illusion of decay, surviving on apples, coffee, and pure obsession. It wasn't glamorous. It was dangerous. But he committed to it completely. And when it came time to become Batman, he didn't hesitate. He rebuilt himself from zero, eating, training, sleeping like a machine, transforming weakness into power. He didn't wait for motivation. He built it through action. That's the lesson most people miss. Transformation isn't a miracle. It's a choice, made over and over again every day, especially when it hurts. When you look in the mirror and see something you hate, that's not the end. That's the beginning. Bale's journey proves one thing. Your limits aren't physical, they're mental. Your body will follow whatever your mind believes. When your purpose is strong enough, your body becomes the instrument of that purpose. Think about it. Most people want to change, but they want to do it comfortably. Bale's story destroys that illusion. Growth doesn't live in comfort. Change happens in pain, discipline, and sacrifice. What's truly inspiring is that Bale didn't do this once. He repeated it again and again for American Hustle, Vice, The Fighter. Up, down, rebuild, destroy, repeat. Each time he erased who he was to become someone new. That's not just acting, that's control. When you see his photos, don't think celebrity, think proof. Proof that the human body can become whatever the human mind demands it to be. He's not a superhero, he's evidence. Evidence that you can be weak today and powerful tomorrow, that you can fall apart and still come back stronger. Bale's transformations aren't about weight or muscle, they're about identity. He didn't just change his appearance, he changed who he was. And that's the real message. You don't need to be famous, rich, or born with perfect genetics. You just need the courage to start, to decide who you want to become, and then become it, no matter what it costs. Everyone admires the transformation, the before and after photos, the shredded physique, the headlines, but nobody wants to talk about what happens in between. That space between before and after, that's where the pain lives. Christian Bale didn't just lose or gain weight, he suffered for it. Every role that demanded a new body came with a new kind of pain, physical, mental, emotional. When he starved himself for The Machinist, he wasn't just skipping meals, he was shutting down parts of his life. No energy, no social life, no joy, just exhaustion and obsession. And later, when he became Batman, that pain didn't disappear. It just changed shape. Hours in the gym, endless repetition, strict diets, constant pressure. You think looking strong feels good, until you realize it takes everything from you to stay that way. That's the part most people never see. They see the body, not the battle. They see the result, not the sacrifice. Every rep hurts. Every diet feels like a war against your instincts. Every morning you wake up tired, sore, and still have to keep going. That's what real discipline looks like. Not excitement, not hype, not energy, but endurance. Pain isn't the enemy here. Pain is the process. Without it, there is no transformation, no evolution. You can't change your body without first changing your relationship with pain. Bale's story proves that perfection always has a cost, and it's not something you can buy or fake. You pay for it in effort, in time, in suffering. That's the price of mastery. In the gym, on the screen, in life. And you know what's interesting? He never complained. He never made excuses. Because when you accept the pain, it stops being punishment. It becomes progress. Most people quit the moment it starts to hurt. But those who push through, they find something deeper on the other side. Strength that doesn't come from muscle, but from character. When you see Bale's extreme transformations, don't just think about what he achieved. Think about what he endured. That's where greatness hides. Not in the spotlight, but in the shadows, where nobody's watching. Pain refines you. It strips away everything unnecessary. It forces you to find out who you really are. That's why every transformation, physical or mental, begins with discomfort. You can't become the person you want to be while staying comfortable. So if you're hurting, struggling, doubting yourself, good. That means you're in the middle of your own transformation. It means you're still fighting. And one day, when people look at you and say, "How did you do it?" you'll know the truth. You didn't just build a body, you built a will. Why would anyone put themselves through this? Why starve for months, risk their health, destroy their comfort, just to become someone else? For Christian Bale, it was never about vanity. It wasn't about proving how dedicated he was. It was about purpose. Every time Bale changed his body, he wasn't chasing numbers on a scale. He was chasing truth. Every role had a soul, and his mission was to find it, no matter the cost. If a character was broken, he had to break himself. If a character was powerful, he had to earn that power. That's what made his performances real, because they came from pain, from discipline, from immersion. But here's the deeper message. You don't need a Hollywood movie to find your purpose. You just need a reason strong enough to pull you out of bed when you don't want to move. A why that's louder than your excuses. Most people never reach their potential, not because they lack time or talent, but because they lack a clear reason. Purpose is fuel. Without it, discipline dies. When Bale stepped into each role, he wasn't asking, "Can I do this?" He was saying, "This has to be done." And that's the difference between wanting and committing. When you want something, you'll do it when it's convenient. When you're committed, you'll do it no matter what. Bale's body became a reflection of his conviction. He didn't need to find motivation because he'd already decided who he was, someone who does what must be done. That's the secret most people never understand. You don't rise to the level of your motivation. You fall to the level of your discipline. Every transformation, physical or mental, reaches a breaking point, the point where you're tired, unmotivated, and ready to quit. That's where most people stop. But Bale didn't, because his discipline didn't rely on emotion, it relied on commitment. The truth is, success is boring. It's repetition, patience, sacrifice. It's waking up on days you don't feel like it, and doing it anyway. No applause, no spotlight, just quiet work. And over time, that quiet work becomes something loud. It becomes muscle. It becomes confidence. It becomes proof. People look at Bale and see transformation, but behind it are thousands of invisible moments of discipline. The workouts nobody saw, the meals nobody tracked, the sacrifices nobody praised. That's the real work. Motivation gets you started. Discipline gets you results. So the next time you feel that energy fading, good. Let it fade, because that's where the real you shows up. When it's not exciting anymore. When it's just hard. When the only thing keeping you going is your word. That's when you become unstoppable. That's when you go from trying to becoming. Christian Bale didn't transform because he wanted to. He transformed because he said he would, and then did it, again and again, no matter how he felt. Motivation is temporary. Discipline is forever. Motivation is easy. It's the spark you feel after watching a powerful video, reading a quote, or seeing someone achieve greatness. But sparks don't last long. They burn out fast. And when they do, most people stop. Discipline, though, discipline is different. It's not a spark. It's a fire that burns slowly, steadily, quietly, every single day. Christian Bale didn't go through years of transformation because he felt motivated. He did it because he built discipline so strong it overpowered his feelings. Do you think he woke up every morning excited to train? To eat the same meals, push through the same pain, repeat the same exhausting routine? No. He woke up tired, frustrated, hungry, just like anyone else. But he showed up anyway. That's what discipline is. Doing what needs to be done, especially when you don't want to. Motivation is emotional. It depends on your mood. Discipline is mechanical. It ignores your mood. Motivation is what starts the journey. Discipline is what finishes it. Bale's consistency wasn't fueled by excitement. It was fueled by identity. He didn't need to find motivation because he'd already decided who he was, someone who does what must be done. That's the secret most people never understand. You don't rise to the level of your motivation. You fall to the level of your discipline. Every transformation, physical or mental, reaches a breaking point. The point where you're tired, unmotivated, and ready to quit. That's where most people stop. But Bale didn't, because his discipline didn't rely on emotion. It relied on commitment. The truth is, success is boring. It's repetition, patience, sacrifice. It's waking up on days you don't feel like it, and doing it anyway. No applause, no spotlight, just quiet work. And over time, that quiet work becomes something loud. It becomes muscle. It becomes confidence. It becomes proof. People look at Bale and see transformation, but behind it are thousands of invisible moments of discipline. The workouts nobody saw, the meals nobody tracked, the sacrifices nobody praised. That's the real work. Motivation gets you started. Discipline gets you results. So the next time you feel that energy fading, good. Let it fade, because that's where the real you shows up. When it's not exciting anymore, when it's just hard, when the only thing keeping you going is your word. That's when you become unstoppable. That's when you go from trying to becoming. Christian Bale didn't transform because he wanted to. He transformed because he said he would, and then did it, again and again, no matter how he felt. Motivation is temporary. Discipline is forever. At first glance, it looks like a story about muscles, about training, food, and numbers on a scale. But if you look deeper, really deeper, you start to see what it's actually about. Control. Control of the body, yes, but more importantly, control of the mind. Christian Bale didn't just reshape his physique. He reprogrammed his identity. He proved something most people never realize. Your body follows your thoughts. It doesn't lead, it obeys. When he lost himself in The Machinist, it wasn't just weight he gave up. It was comfort, pleasure, ease. And when he rebuilt himself for Batman Begins, it wasn't just a diet or a workout plan. It was an act of self-discipline, repeated every single day, until his mind accepted no other option but progress. Every rep, every sacrifice, every early morning wasn't about building a body. It was about training his brain to do what needed to be done, without negotiation. That's what most people miss about transformation. They think it's physical. It's not. It's mental. The gym, the diet, the routine. They're just tools to teach you something far more important: how to command yourself. When you train, you're not just lifting weights, you're lifting resistance, not just against gravity, but against weakness, against doubt, against fear. You're teaching your mind that discomfort doesn't mean danger, that pain doesn't mean stop. Every time Bale pushed through exhaustion, he wasn't just building muscle, he was building trust with himself. And that's the most powerful thing you can ever have: self-trust. The certainty that when you say you'll do something, you actually will. That's where strength comes from. Not from the gym, but from integrity. People say mind over matter like it's a cliche, but it's not a phrase, it's a lifestyle. It means you act according to your values, not your feelings. You move forward even when your emotions pull you back. That's what Bale mastered. That's why he could transform again and again, because his body wasn't in charge anymore. His mind was. And once your mind takes control, everything changes. Food stops being temptation. Pain stops being an obstacle. Fatigue stops being an excuse. They all become signals, signs that you're growing stronger. The truth is, every workout is a conversation between your body and your will. Your body screams, "Stop!" Your mind whispers, "One more." And that single repetition, that one moment of defiance, is where progress lives. Christian Bale didn't just build characters on screen. He built discipline in real life, through the relentless training of his mind. Because when your mind becomes stronger than your body, you stop chasing change and start commanding it. People love to look at someone like Christian Bale and say, well, of course he can do it. He's famous, he's rich, he has trainers and nutritionists. It's the most comfortable lie you can tell yourself, because it gives you an excuse not to try. But here's the truth. Bale wasn't born a superhero. He's not genetically gifted, not some freak of nature. He's a man, just like you, made of the same muscle, bone, and doubt. The difference isn't what he has, it's what he chooses to do with it. Before he was Batman, before the fighter, before the fame, he was just another guy working on his craft. No one believed he could make it in Hollywood. He didn't have the perfect start, the perfect body, or the perfect plan. He had one thing: relentless commitment. And that's what made the difference. We often imagine greatness as something reserved for the chosen few, people born under better circumstances, with better genetics, or more opportunities. But that's not true. Greatness isn't inherited. It's earned, one hard decision at a time. Christian Bale's story proves that transformation doesn't come from privilege, it comes from persistence. He's living proof that discipline can turn an ordinary man into something extraordinary. He didn't have endless motivation. He had structure. He didn't have superhuman willpower. He had habits. He didn't wait for miracles. He created them through repetition and pain. Every time he built his body back from the ground up, he reminded the world, and himself, that change is possible for anyone who commits to it. It's not about being an actor. It's about being active, taking action when others hesitate. While most people complain about time, resources, or energy, Bale simply gets to work. He doesn't ask, "Can I?" He asks, "When do we start?" And that's exactly why he stands out. Not because he's superhuman, but because he behaves like one would. Every person watching this has the same potential, the same ability to change, to rebuild, to rise again. But potential means nothing without action. You don't need fame to transform. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't even need confidence. You just need to start. Because once you start, you realize something powerful. The gap between ordinary and extraordinary isn't talent, it's consistency. Bale just decided that excuses weren't part of his vocabulary, and that's something anyone can decide today. So stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop believing that success belongs to someone else. Look at Bale, a man who turned discipline into art and effort into legacy. If he can do it, so can you. Not because you're special, but because you're human. And that's all it takes. The biggest mistake people make when chasing transformation is waiting. They wait for the perfect time, the perfect gym, the perfect plan. They tell themselves, once I have more time, more money, more energy, then I'll start. But that then never comes. Christian Bale didn't wait. He didn't wait to feel ready to lose 60 pounds for The Machinist. He didn't wait to feel motivated to gain 100 pounds for Batman Begins. He just made the decision, and then became the kind of man who could follow through. The truth is, no one ever feels ready. Not the first time you step into a gym, not the first time you look at yourself in the mirror and admit you've got a long way to go. Not the first time you push through the pain that tells you to quit. That fear, that hesitation, it's part of the process. It means you're doing something real. People look at Bale's insane body transformations and think, I could never do that. But you don't need to. You don't have to drop 60 pounds or gain 40 pounds of muscle. You just have to make the first move. Show up once, then again tomorrow. Change doesn't happen in a single leap. It's 1,000 small steps. Bale didn't transform overnight. He transformed because he was willing to start before he was ready, over and over again. Every diet, every workout, every early morning added up, until he became Batman. Not because he wanted it more than others, but because he did it when others wouldn't. And that's your lesson too. Stop preparing to prepare. Stop waiting to be perfect. Perfection is a trap. It's procrastination in disguise. Start messy. Start scared. Start tired. But start. Because the truth is, readiness comes after you begin, not before. Confidence is built through consistency, not motivation. Motivation fades. Consistency builds identity. Bale didn't rely on feelings. He relied on decisions. Every day, he made choices that aligned with the man he wanted to become. You can do the same. So, whatever your goal is, strength, health, discipline, success, stop saying someday. Make today that day. The hardest part of every transformation is the first step, but once you take it, the rest follows. Because the secret to becoming unstoppable isn't waiting until you're ready. It's starting before you are, and refusing to stop once you've begun. We often measure transformation by what we can see: the muscles, the abs, the weight loss, the gain. But Christian Bale's story teaches us something deeper. The real change happens in the mind. The body is just a reflection of what your mind has learned to endure, to believe, and to commit to. Every pound lost, every pound gained, every brutal workout, every strict meal plan, they are all exercises for the mind, not just the body. Because the body can only do what the mind allows it to do. Think about Bale during The Machinist. He starved himself to near death. His body begged him to stop, to rest, to eat. But his mind, his purpose, was stronger than the hunger. He obeyed the mission, not his comfort. And when he needed to transform into Batman, the challenge flipped. Now his mind had to command growth, endurance, and power. It had to tell his body, push harder, eat more, sleep better, repeat. Without the mind, the body would have faltered. Transformation, at its core, is mental. Your body will adapt to almost anything: extreme diets, grueling workouts, early mornings, but only if your mind believes it can. The real muscle is patience, resilience, and the ability to endure pain without quitting. Most people underestimate the mental side. They think if they follow a program perfectly, success is guaranteed. It's not. Consistency is powered by mind over matter, by control over fleeting emotions, by refusing to quit when it hurts or feels inconvenient. Bale's journey shows that discipline and perseverance are not physical traits. They are learned behaviors of the mind. The extreme physical transformations are just proof, visible evidence that mental strength produces tangible results. This is what separates those who dream from those who achieve, those who quit at the first sign of discomfort versus those who embrace it, those who wait for motivation versus those who build habits. The mind is trained just like a muscle. It grows stronger when challenged, stretched, and pushed to the limits. And once the mind is trained, the body will inevitably follow. Christian Bale became the characters he needed to portray because he first reshaped his mind. He committed to the discomfort, the routine, the pain, not for fame or applause, but for mastery. And in doing so, his body became secondary, a tool, a visible testament to the power of mental will. So when you think about transforming your life, physically, mentally, emotionally, remember this: the true work happens in the mind. Your body will follow where your mind leads. Your limitations exist only as far as your mind believes they do. Train your mind relentlessly. Push it past comfort, past excuses, past doubt. Because when the mind becomes unshakable, nothing in the world can stop the body from achieving what you once thought impossible. Christian Bale didn't just prove he could change his body, he proved that the mind is the ultimate muscle. And once you strengthen it, every transformation, no matter how extreme, becomes possible. Christian Bale's story isn't just about movies, muscles, or Hollywood fame. It's about something much deeper, the incredible potential that lies within every single human being. He transformed his body again and again, facing extreme pain, exhaustion, and doubt. He didn't wait for perfect conditions. He didn't rely on luck, money, or special privileges. He relied on willpower, discipline, and unwavering commitment to a goal. That's the lesson we all can take. Spirit and motivation are stronger than money, resources, or circumstances. If you truly want something, you will find a way. If you don't want it enough, you will find an excuse. It's that simple and that powerful. Every transformation starts in the mind. Every great achievement begins with a decision. I will, no matter what. Bale's extreme physical changes are proof that with focus, purpose, and determination, you can push far beyond what seems possible. The body is flexible, but the spirit is invincible when nurtured. Motivation gives you the spark, but discipline fuels the fire. And spirit, the unshakable, relentless inner drive, ensures that no obstacle, no hardship, no limitation can stop you. Look at Bale and see yourself reflected in his journey. Not the actor, not the fame, not the extremes, but the ordinary human who chose to do extraordinary things. That same choice exists for you. Today. Right now. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need the best gym, the most expensive supplements, or the perfect timing. You just need the will to start and the courage to keep going when it gets hard. Because when you want something badly enough, you will find a way. When you don't, you will find an excuse. Your circumstances don't define you. Your spirit does. So take this lesson from Christian Bale. Push beyond comfort. Commit to your purpose. Train your mind. Endure the pain. And remember that the real transformation, the one that lasts, happens when your spirit decides that nothing, absolutely nothing, will stand in your way. You can start small, but start. You can fail, but fail forward. And you can rise again and again, stronger than before. Because motivation, spirit, and willpower will always outweigh obstacles, resources, or money. If you want it, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse. The choice is yours. The time is now.